to observe if they would like. Need to read through our hearing script, which will cover the procedure, then we'll get started. This is the August 24th, 2022 session of the Zoning Hearing Examiner docket. My name is David Sturkey. I'm the Zoning Hearing Examiner for the state of Cincinnati. I'll preside over this hearing. The case before us today is case number ZH20220119. The purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and opposing parties to testify and offer evidence, testify and offer and refute evidence and testimony. This hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and the supplemental rules of the Zoning Hearing Examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any opposing party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing. The hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. If there were anyone here from the public, they'd have an opportunity to present after the applicant had presented its case. I'll give our zoning plans examiner, Trey Sheldon, an opportunity to provide any testimony in addition to his staff report. In the event that any party testifies or offers argument in opposition to this application, the applicant will have an opportunity to rebut that testimony and or argument that was offered in opposition. And then finally, the applicant will have an opportunity to make any closing statements. For our purposes here today, I'll just give the owner applicant team here, the four of you, an opportunity to, one or all of you can tell me about this project, why I should grant the relief. I'll go to Trey, hear from him, then have you guys respond to any of Trey's comments, make any closing statements. I'll ask some questions along the way and then we'll wrap it up. Decisions may be expected within 2 weeks. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or to make any comments. I may also refuse to consider hearsay testimony or documents. That's generally evidence you want to introduce that consists of statements made by someone who's not present at the hearing. In the event of technical difficulties with the Zoom technology, I'll do my best to troubleshoot those on the fly, but to the extent there's some defect that prevents us from meaningfully going forward with the hearing, I may continue or postpone the hearing at my discretion. Okay, I think that's it. I need to swear in all of our witnesses. If you intend on providing any testimony here today, asking any questions, making any comments, doing anything other than just strictly observing, then you need to be sworn in. So if you think that's you, if you could go ahead and take yourself off of mute. Need everyone to raise their right hand and to answer out loud. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Okay, great. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. Who's going to be taking the lead for us here today on the presentation?
This is Ron Novak with Drawing Department. I'd be happy to take lead on it.
Floor is yours.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to us today, David. We're here because we'd like to take an existing bank that is on Madison Road and turn it into a eating and drinking establishment to further enhance sort of the qualities and what is sort of the understanding of the CNP district, and that's to create vibrancy and a mixed use streetscape. So we're here because we need three portions of relief because of our proximity to a residential district boundary line. And the fact that we're going to have an outdoor patio. So we're here for that eating and drinking establishment to have the patio. We're also anticipating that we would have amplified sound out on there as far as some speakers and that. So we're here for that conditional use. And then simply because of our hours of operation and our compatibility with other projects or businesses around there and residences, we're here for that also. So, you know, this used to be a bank and we are turning it into a upscale speakeasy. I think it's important to recognize that it is a speakeasy, and with a speakeasy sort of vibe that sort of instills a sort of tone and feel to it. So this is not a shot and pitcher beer bar that we're looking to create. This is an upscale environment. The patio is modest in its size and its occupancy. We're limiting it to 20 people. So it is not like this is a beer garden that's going to rival Hofbrauhaus or something like that. So we feel that the intensity and the use of it is compatible with other places on the street, even down on the other corner in that are in proximity to residential, because this is a mixed use sort of area. So, you know, I think that we've done our best to screen and control the environment of our patio and our outdoor activities, simply because we have a bar that's inside. It's not a patio bar, so you have to go inside. So there is a control and an accountability to it. Our tenant has operated businesses in the neighborhood for the last 13 years without citation or warrant. So I think that we have aligned ourselves and our owner has aligned ourselves well with our tenant that is responsible and a good citizen to the neighbors that are around. Beyond that, we're excited to breathe new life into this building and promote sort of the vibrancy of the street and sort of getting people outside and occupying the space out there. So we've really strived to create something that would be an asset to the neighborhood and not a detriment or have any detrimental impacts on the neighbors adjacent. So that's what I could tell you about it.
Gotcha. Okay. Will there be multiple uses in this building?
There is an office component on the second floor as far as businesses, as far as the folks that are running the place. But as far as multiple uses, it is a intentionally it's a speakeasy.
Gotcha. So speakeasy on the first floor, offices on the second floor.
That is correct, sir.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Ron. Anything else?
No, I think that that does it. I think our hours of operation, we're looking for the same opportunity that everyone else in proximity has. We were suggesting that we'd like to push it as far as we can, just because the outdoor patio does provide a substantial revenue, which is kind of in the business model for what we need to generate to make this a viable proposition for the owner and operator. So I wanted to add that to it.
Okay. Okay, I've got a few questions, but I think I'll well, first let me see, does Mr. Van Dusen or Jason want to, or sorry, Mr. Esterkamp want to add anything to Mr. Novak's testimony?
I'm good. Nope, not at this time.
Okay, great. Trey, any testimony you want to provide?
Just that, David, there's a, we measure for the distance, basically you're looking at the boundaries of two zoning districts. For this, the way the code's written, we look at it as about, the boundary between the two zoning districts and that proximity. So we have a wide range of situations that present themselves in that regard, depending upon the proximity of the residential area and also the size of the parcel itself, where the proposed use might be. So you might have a very large parcel in a commercial district that, while the boundary technically is near there, is within the prescribed distance to a residential district, it might be essentially 800 or 500 feet away if it's a very large parcel. For example, you might have a deck or a patio with outdoor entertainment that's completely on the other other end of the parcel, basically, where and there certainly are such situations, even some that I think you may have presided over. So that's the only wrinkle that we really had with this, is that we typically have not recommended extended hours, especially with sound and so on, when you're about, I think, about 80 feet away from a residential, 70 to 80 feet away from a dwelling. That's right. I believe the gentleman, Jason, I don't have your last name in front of me. Is it Esterkamp?
Yes. Yeah.
Esterkamp. Sorry about that. I just don't have it in front of me. Anyhow, sir. Yeah, I believe you according to Mr. Van Dusen, you own O'Brien's as well. Is that correct?
I do. Yeah, I own the building and the business since December of 2010.
So for a sense of that, David, that's immediately across Cahoon Street from this. It's immediately to the west of that, across Cahoon. And the concern that we have at all is really not so much on the main drag there, and as it is for the people, residents that were in the townhomes and such on Cahoon Street, directly behind O'Brien's. I did receive calls from a couple of interested parties. Both indicated because of jobs and stuff they couldn't be present today, but they were concerned about the extended hours and noise. It's my duty to explain that. They did express those concerns and asked me. One fellow asked me very pointedly, and this is a valid point. I had talked with both Spencer and I believe even Ron about this, but definitely Spencer several times about the project. The issue also that zoning has is you have, once you allow a hearing on a matter, you can't, it's kind of like not legislating for taste. They may just have some real low key jazz being played here with this, but you can imagine that all it takes is a change of occupancy 8 years down the road. And somebody could put in a headbanger joint, so to speak. I don't know how else to put it, but something with louder music, or where they don't have. Ron correctly, certainly spoke to the fact that they've limited it to 10, 10 seating for 10, basically out on this patio. But theoretically, there could be no tables at all and standing room only, or something out there. Whatever building code would allow, you could have a lot more people and a lot rowdier crowd depending upon it. So that's the only concern we have, is that once something kind of runs with the land, we don't have any control over that. If a future owner comes in and keeps the same, then they basically get a new CO, a new signage, and some other things, and we can't tell them no at that point. So I'll kind of leave that in your hands, David. But that's the reason why we're concerned about the outdoor entertainment. We recommended approval for the outdoor entertainment, but we're just concerned about the hours, especially during the weekdays, of being having music playing until midnight or something. And being only about 60 to 70 feet away from somebody's dwelling. So that's
Trey, may I
said.
ask?
Yes, sir.
May I ask you a question just
Sure.
about that?
Yes.
As far as there were in the staff report, there was item G that talks about hours of operation, and saying that the hours of operation will be limited to whatever, from Monday through Thursday, or I'm sorry, Sunday through Thursday, from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. We don't want anything over. We were trying to figure out, does it mean that we cannot use the outdoor space after 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, or do you have to limit it to 65 to 75 decibels for that?
No, it's two separate things. The hours are limited to those. That's why you're trying to ask for extended hours. You basically would be limited to 10, and I believe until midnight on the weekends, instead of, and you're asking for midnight on weekdays and 2:30 in the morning, I believe, on Friday and Saturday night. And so the code literally spells that out for this very reason, because as I just explained, overall, depending on the proximity, just because there's a district boundary that calls out the conditional use requirement, it's very situational depending on the size of the parcels and how far somebody is in reality. And here they're maybe 70 feet away. There's a residence, I think a residential building directly behind O'Brien's, for example. So that was our only concern. And like I said, it's tough to control once a zoning hearings happen. If somebody subsequently has a much more intensive, kind of rowdy use, the only thing that's left there is the police to do that. I did call out that just for the owner and operator to understand, because the decibel situation is one that we've dealt with in other instances. And it's one of the only times where we reference, other than maybe a health thing or something in some of my urban ag cases, it's about the only time when we mention another section of the municipal code, because that's a sound ordinance, but it specifically calls it out by district. And so you all might want to take a look at that as well. It literally calls out for the CN district, then you have a range of about 65 to 75 decibels max around the proximity to the property. And I don't want to go into all that on here, but if you look at that code section, it calls it out for, it kind of matches up with the times of day. On weekdays, you're going to have to be at 65. On, at 8 o'clock at night on a Saturday, you can be at 75, something like that. So you'll have to look at those, but it's important to understand those so you don't end up in any kind of conflict with the two folks that I talked to.
Sure. And I will tell you also that, we're never, I would think Jason can confirm this, that our anticipation is that we're never going to have a band out there. It's not going to be that type of patio. We're not going to put a performance out there. It's simply going to be for drinking cocktails out there. And there's that's what the use of it is for. It's not for a concert situation or outdoor entertainment. It is specifically for dining and drinking.
But my only comment there is that I guess that once this happens, if you have a subsequent a subsequent, we run into that with event spaces that have outdoor seating, for example. Sometimes somebody might have something where it's just for, weddings, and they might have some person on acoustic guitar from the college conservatory playing a little Bach for the thing. But once that happens, the use, we can't so much control the use, it then becomes a nuisance. I'm not saying you guys, but it's kind of like once the horse is out of the gate, we can't ascertain that a future tenant might behave in that same manner. And all they'd have to get is a CO and a new signage and so on. So they wouldn't be subject to a hearing. So that was just our concern.
Thanks, Trey. So yeah, I'll jump in here and just say that I think that the design and the patio idea are look great. I think that the first two requests for relief in terms of actually installing the patio and using audiovisual equipment and amplified sound is I'm going to approve those. I think they're compatible with the neighborhood, and I think it's a great design. I do have concerns about the hours, so I'd like to hear from you guys why, if you have any more to say about why you think that won't be a concern for neighboring residential property owners, outside of anything you've said so far.
I guess I'm trying to understand whether you're willing to allow people to be on the patio for the requested hour. We just would not be able to have any audio.
No. I want to hear from you why, audio or no audio, this won't have an adverse impact on neighboring residential property owners. Because, whether, like Trey said, a headbanger bar takes this over down the road, or, I haven't been to a bar at 2 a.m. in a long time, but I remember even the quietest of bars at 2 a.m. after people have been out all night can get pretty loud, even people's voices. And you never know exactly how that sound's going to reverberate between buildings and end up in people's bedrooms. And so I guess I just wanted to hear a little bit more argument why you think it's appropriate to have the extended hours here. As far as I can tell, this would be only the second. I think O'Brien's is the only other one that has any hours that are close to this. So, wow.
Yes. So as it's been stated, I've operated O'Brien's for 13 years. Tried to be a very good neighbor, be respectful. Very aware of the new developments that have taken place on Cahoon, where we've added residents to the neighborhood. Next door to us, a nonprofit that actually directly deals with children whose lives have been affected by their parents' use of abuse, alcohol, and drugs. So, we try to keep the music to a respectable level, even on days such as, let's say, St. Patrick's Day, and keeping that music to a low level, even though there are no residents directly across the street from us. We do understand that noise can have an adverse effect, along with the traffic that flows through on Madison Road at probably the limit, and creates quite a noise itself. But I think as far as us being open to those hours, even at O'Brien's, which is probably more of what was alluded to as more of a shot and pitcher of beer bar, we have eluded 13 years of complaints in the fact that we have kept that noise level down with patrons out there till 2 o'clock. I mean, I think 2:30 is probably a stretch. I mean, we're all honest with ourselves. 2 o'clock is typically about the time we patrons start heading out the door. Very rare in the neighborhood are we open till 2:30. And, quite frankly, to Mr. Sheldon's point of it could be in the future, I don't think anyone could argue against it. I mean, what its use could be down the road. But for us, and I believe building owner, what tenant and what business operates in there is extremely important to him. And so as long as he owns the building, I doubt there would ever be a banger bar or something that is going to create nuisance, because it's not his style. It's not what he wants to reflect upon himself. And I think partnering with me and him being new to the neighborhood, I bring a very good sense of what O'Brienville is and what the residents around there really want to have as opposed to their home. And so being respectful, but yet giving them a more upscale place to go unwind is kind of really the point of what we're going to do. And the speakers would be limited in streets and so forth. And after that, there's not much more. I mean, it's hard to go against Mr. Sheldon's point of what it could be in 15, 20 years down the line. I don't think anybody's going to argue on that point. I can tell you, as long as I'm the operator there, we'll operate in a.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Mr. Esterkamp. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I was going to add, I was just going to kind of echo the same sentiment that, I can only speak to what our ownership and our operator can do for the place. Can't really speak to what the future could hold if somebody else gets a hold of it. And if there's no process available for that person that needing to come back and talk about their own business structure or performa, then I don't know what I can offer that other than we created a speakeasy that is limited occupancy to that patio of 20 people. And we don't have amplified performance there as far as bands. We don't anticipate any bands because Jason doesn't want to deal with or has never wanted to promote bands and be that kind of place. So our scale and tone, the types of seatings, the control of it, the fact that you have to come into the place to get to the patio, we feel that we can control that outdoor environment, which is either at the same distance or slightly further away from the residential than even other businesses in proximity that are similar, like O'Brien's. So,
okay. What is the total occupancy of the building going to be?
The total interior occupancy of the bar will be about 60 people.
Okay. All right. I don't think I have any more questions. Anything else from anyone in closing or otherwise before we adjourn here today?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. I want to thank you all again for your time and your testimony here today. Like I said, I am going to, and to be clear, sorry, one more thing. You're requesting Friday and Saturday, 3 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. and Sunday through Thursday, 3 p.m. to 12 a.m. Is that right? For the hours?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just want to make sure that was clear. So I am going to approve the first two requests for the patio and to use audiovisual and equipment and amplified sound. I'm not sure about the hours yet. I am concerned about the impact on the neighboring property owners, and if this building ever did change hands, what that could mean. Also setting that standard for future applications down the road for other buildings. So I'm going to take a little bit more time with that, and I'll probably do like a site visit where I just drive by and actually get my feet on the ground there and get a sense for what it's actually like on the ground. I think that would be useful for me. So I will take this under advisement. I'll still have a decision out to you within 2 weeks. As soon as I finish that decision, I type it up as I think most of you know. I put it into a PDF and I'll email it to everyone who's in this hearing. So you all have a copy of that really just moments after it's complete. As soon as you have that decision, you can start working with Trey on the necessary permitting. And I will, of course, include in there the outcome of what I think is appropriate for the hours for the patio. Any questions about any of that right now?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
Great. Great luck with the project. Looks like a really cool idea, and hope you all have a wonderful day. We are adjourned.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, David.
Take
Thank
care.
you.